Good evening. My name is Heidi Shoup, and I'm Executive Director of the World Affairs Council of Washington. And I welcome you all here this evening to the Council's presentation on China and the competition for energy resources. I have one speaker lineup change to announce. Unfortunately, Erica Downs is unable to be with us tonight. We just found that out earlier today, but we're very fortunate in having Robert Ebel, who was able to join us at the last minute, and we're very grateful for that. And we'll enjoy his remarks too, and we'll have Erica Downs at a later time. The Council will be presenting a series of events over the course of the coming months, and I have no doubt beyond that, focusing on China's evolving role in international affairs, and specifically the implications for the United States and U.S.-China relations. I would like to call your attention to several upcoming Council events for which details are available at the registration desk, and I understand on your seats tonight as well. This Saturday, September 15th, we have scheduled a special treat for Council members and guests, a private tour of the blockbuster exhibition encompassing the globe, the Portuguese, and the world in the 16th and 17th centuries at the Sackler Gallery. Jay Levinson from the MoMA is curator of the exhibit, and he will lead the tour, which will be followed by a lunch at a Malaysian restaurant, along with a discussion of the spice trade. Our Young Professional World Quest competition continues on September 23rd at Bus Boys and Poets. If you are interested in forming a team or competing as an individual, give us a call or send us an email and join the fun. On October 1, we will host Pulitzer Prize-winning Washington Post Pentagon correspondent Tom Ricks, who will be discussing his book, Fiasco, the American Military Adventure in Iraq. China is often on the world's front pages for its trade surpluses, its rapid economic ascendancy, its space program, its impact on the environment, its strategic initiatives in Southeast Asia, Central Asia, Latin America, Middle East, and Africa. In November 2006, Beijing hosted the summit of the Forum for China and Africa Cooperation, attended by 43 heads of state and a total of 48 African delegations. Next summer, China hosts the Olympic Summer Games for the first time. Tonight, we will look at China and the competition for the world's energy resources. We have with us this evening three individuals who will help us gain a better understanding of this topic. Robert Ebel, Senior Advisor of the CSIS Energy Program, Dr. David Finkelstein, Director of Project Asia and the China Studies Center at the CNA Corporation, and Chaz Freeman, Chairman of the Board of Projects International. As a courtesy to our speakers and to your fellow audience, I ask that you turn off your cell phones or pagers at this time. Ambassador Freeman will moderate this evening's program, and he will be introducing the speakers. Ambassador Freeman served as Assistant Secretary of Defense for International Security Affairs in 1993 and 94, earning the highest public services awards of the Department of Defense for his roles in designing a NATO-centered post-Cold War European security system and in reestablishing defense and military relations with China. He served as U.S. Ambassador to Saudi Arabia, Principal Deputy Assistant Secretary of State for African Affairs, and in U.S. embassies in Bangkok and Beijing. He was principal interpreter during the late President Nixon's visit to China in 1972. Ambassador Freeman earned a certificate in Latin American Studies from the National Autonomous University of Mexico, certificates in both the national and Taiwan dialects of Chinese from the former Foreign Service Institute Field Office in Taiwan, a BA from Yale, and a JD from Harvard. He is president of the Middle East Policy Council, serves as co-chair of the United States-China Policy Foundation, vice chair of the Atlantic Council of the United States, and serves on the board of directors of the World Affairs Council of Washington. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Ambassador Chaz Freeman and the members of our panel.
I'm really not as boring as all that sounds. It's a pleasure to be here tonight, and we do have a great lineup. For those of you who anticipated listening to Erica Downs, who is, I think, emerging as probably the premier expert in the world on Chinese oil companies and their behavior both at home and abroad, I urge you to use Google or some other device to find some of the excellent articles that she's recently published at Brookings. The subject is China and the competition for energy resources. China until 1993 was, of course, a net exporter of oil. It is still an exporter of coal, and it is becoming, however, a major importer of both oil and with about $45 billion worth of deals done on gas imports last week in Australia. It's fair to become a major factor in the global gas trade as well. Bob Ebel, who is the senior advisor in the CSIS energy program, and I think World Affairs Council owes a vote of thanks to CSIS for making this wonderful room available and for making Bob available on short notice. Robert Ebel is an expert on and offers opinions on the Persian Gulf and the former Soviet Union, which, in case it escaped your attention, is where the world's oil and gas mostly is. He served in the CIA for quite a number of years and spent some time, I think about 7 years, in the Office of Oil and Gas at the Department of Interior. He's also worked with the Federal Energy Office in the international energy arena. This is a man of great experience, whose opinion is highly valued in this city, and I think it's a great honor to have him join us. Bob, if you want to come up. Thank you.
Well, thanks for that introduction. I've had the pleasure of speaking to World Affairs Council groups across the country, and I'm pleased to be able to fill in tonight. I thought I'd begin my remarks by asking 3 questions about China and then providing an answer. First question: what role do energy interests play in China's foreign policy? I think the answer is rather obvious. The answer is about the power of oil. We may talk about the power of oil, and probably today we talk more about the power of the price of gasoline. But have we ever stopped to consider just what that power of oil really embraces? Let me offer my own definition. Oil fuels much more than automobiles and airplanes. Oil fuels military power, national treasuries, and international politics. It is no longer a commodity to be bought and sold within the confines of traditional energy supply and demand balances. Rather, it is a determinant of well-being, of national security, and international power and influence for those who possess this vital resource, and the converse for those who do not. Second question: are Europe, the US, and China partners or competitors in energy policy? Does China's mercantilistic approach conflict with the policy of open energy markets? We are not yet partners, nor are we yet competitors. We have not entered into any energy-related partnerships because it hasn't served our national interests. International oil companies find it difficult to compete with the national oil companies of China, for the Chinese companies can accept terms or other enticements that the IOCs, the international oil companies, cannot or would not. China's approach today can be described as mercantilist, but that is looking beyond current policy, which is, in my judgment, non-interference in domestic matters. And that policy plays well in Africa. Third question: is a common climate protection policy between China and the West realistic in the medium term? And how could it look like?